Welcome to this video from the English Leadership Academy. We're going to talk today about Speaking Test Part 1. We will give you a list of items that you should do on the speaking test and a list of items that you should not do. We're going to call it do's and don'ts. Maybe this is how you feel about thinking about the speaking test. You'd say something like, the speaking test is really intimidating. Well, we are here to give you some great tips to start Part 1 of the speaking test with success. And when you see this red bullseye in this video, along with any other videos that we make, and you see text that is highlighted in red, it means the video is explaining a strategy or a tip or advice for you to focus on in order to get a high score on the IELTS test. Here's our first thing to focus on in Part 1 of the speaking test, and this flows through the whole speaking test. Be confident. This is the most important part of your success on the test. If you believe you will do great, you will do great. Confidence will come from practicing with a purpose. We'll explain that concept as we go through this video. Learn to speak with confidence. It will greatly increase your fluency and coherence. Also, you should be friendly and enthused when doing the speaking test. Everyone speaks better when they are enthused and excited about speaking. You'll have much better fluency when you're enthused. Try it. Try it with enthusiasm. Try it without. An example question would be, do you like sports? Well, yes, I like sports. Sports are very good. They're very important to me. That would be one way of answering the question. Another way would be, yes, I really love sports. My life is made up of participating in sports. I love the competition, love staying in shape. It's just a fantastic way for me to go through life. And make eye contact. This is so important. You are telling stories to the examiner during your speaking test. That's really what you are doing. And when you make strong eye contact with anyone, you will be focused, you will tell a better story, and the listener will enjoy listening to your story much, much more. Try this. Practice this. It is really important. Try practicing where your eyes are just going everywhere and you're not looking at anybody. You will see, you lose focus. And then practice looking at someone and really telling that story with feeling, with emotion, and seeing what happens to your speaking ability. And this tip holds true to everything we do in all our preparation for the IELTS test. We call it practice with a purpose. And what that means is that we should practice with a timer. This is a timed test. There's a certain amount of time for each section of this, and we outline that in the various videos on the speaking test. Practice with a voice recorder. This is incredibly important. You must listen to yourself speak. You must be able to assess yourself. You must be able to share this with others. It allows you to improve your speaking ability. So use this every time you practice. Practice in the same conditions that you will take the test. When you go in to take the test and you sit down across from the examiner, it's intimidating. It's scary. So why not practice doing this at the beginning? And then it will become very normal for you. So practice this way. Practice with a purpose. Your scores will greatly improve. And this comes up a lot in the speaking video. The words I like get used all the time. So when you're practicing, try to come up with some other words that are comfortable for you, that are the same meaning as I like. So maybe I love, I really enjoy, or I prefer. And as you continue to practice different words with I like, you will find some that become very natural, and then use them every day when you're speaking. And as you practice for your test, continue to use them, because you don't want to repeat the same words over and over. And I like are some words that get used all the time. Expand and build on your answers. This is important in part 1, in part 2, and in part 3. Remember, this is a speaking test. In order to receive a high score, you must speak. The easiest way to speak more is to be an expert on expanding and building. As you are practicing your answer to each question, you should try to address many of these additional questions. So to your question that you're being asked, you should ask yourself, why, what, where, when, how? And add that to the question that you are answering. When you expand and build your answer, you will show advanced skills in English communication. And that's what the test is trying to assess. So to expand and build on your answer, think about it as that topic question, if you will, being right in the middle. And they ask you a question of, tell me about your hometown. Really what they're asking is not tell me about your hometown, but more than that. What's the name of your hometown? Where is your hometown? Why do people go to your hometown? Who lives in your hometown? Things like that. So any question they ask of you, add those questions, who, what, where, why. That will help you expand your answer. And it works really well. In addition to asking questions like who, what, why, where, to the question that you are being asked to answer, another way to expand and build upon your answer is to give examples. So if the question is, do you like cooking? Your answer could be, I love cooking. For example, I can bake the best cookies. My favorite cookie to make is chocolate chip cookies. Or maybe the question is, do you like art? You could say, I really like painting. As an example, I often paint with watercolors. My favorite piece of art to create is when I am outside and I'm able to paint a beautiful scene in nature. And a really important part of the speaking test is not to continue to repeat the same words over and over again. It doesn't really matter what your speaking ability is, but if you can use different words to describe a similar thing, it becomes very important. So the 4 main questions in part 1A of the speaking test are to tell the examiner about your home or your hometown, or if you study or if you work. So let's look at some common words that we could use to replace some of these words. Home. You could use residence, household, place, property. Hometown could be city, town, birthplace. Study could be school, schooling, education, class. Work could be job, place of employment, career, or just place. Beautiful could equal gorgeous, ravishing, dazzling, stunning, exquisite. Big could be equal to huge or enormous, gigantic, humongous, substantial, mammoth. If you make something, so you could, other words for make would be create, originate, invent, construct, manufacture, produce, compose. And interesting can be fascinating, engaging, spirited, intriguing, gripping, enthralling, or captivating. And so when you're practicing with a purpose, try to use some different words rather than using the same words over and over again to describe things. And maybe some of these can help you. Okay, so let's take a moment and review these various things that we should do on the speaking test. We'll call them do's. First one was be confident. This one is just so important. Just be confident. Practice confidently. Be confident. Be friendly and enthused. You know the examiner is not going to be Mr. Happy or Mrs. Happy, but if you are friendly and enthused, you will be more engaging. Your speaking will improve. It's a really much better experience. Make eye contact. This is huge. And it's hard to do for an extended period of time. So practice and practice and practice. You will see that your speaking will improve. And as we talk about practice, practice with a purpose. Have a timer, have a recorder, listen to your voice, No, nobody likes to listen to their own voice. But if you want to change your speaking, you want to improve it, listen to your voice. Learn how to say I like with different words. Get used to those different words. Really learn how to do expand and build on any topic so that you can talk about anything, asking yourself why, what, where, when, how, when a question is asked of you. Learn how to give examples in your answer. It's really helpful just to talk about things you know. As an example, I do this, and it really helps. And then as you practice, add new words to describe similar things. And so we're not just repeating the same thing over and over again. I think if you do these things and you slowly do them with your practicing, you will really see your speaking ability improve. And you'll see your score improve significantly on the IELTS Speaking Test. Okay, so let's switch gears now. Talk about the things that we should not do. Let's call those don'ts for the speaking test. The first one is a big one. You already know what part 1A, what the questions are going to be. Home, hometown, work, or study. And it's tempting to try to memorize your answer, but don't do it. This is a terrible idea. The examiner will quickly realize that you have memorized your answer. And if you practice with a purpose, you will learn to think, and really learn to think, and you will create an answer to any question that the examiner asks you. Something else you should not do during the speaking test, and really all the time as you're practicing for the speaking test, is this idea of trying to speak perfect English. My English was never perfect. English will never be perfect. It's the way I speak. It's how I use the language. Trying for perfect English will make you really nervous, and you will not speak well. What you need to do is record yourself all the time when you practice, and just speak to the level you are comfortable. And as you practice, you can improve your fluency, your coherence. You can improve your pronunciation by working on those things. But on test day, just speak normally. Don't try to do something special. It just doesn't work. So speak normal. Speak your English. Be confident, be happy, be excited, and you'll do great. And we really shouldn't have to talk about this one, but we will say it anyway. Don't give yes or no answers, and just a yes or a no. This is a speaking test, and if you only give a 1, 2, or 3 word answer, how can the examiner assess your speaking skills? Make sure you expand and build on every answer. This is your time to show off. Speak, enjoy it, be happy, be enthused. You'll get a good score. And another thing you should not do in the speaking test, don't give monotone answers. Somebody asks you, do you like sports? Yes, I really love sports. Sports are very exciting. Please do not make that your answer. Speak with enthusiasm. A monotone answer is a bad idea. And sometimes when we're studying very hard and we're trying so hard, we become a little bit monotone. And a monotone voice is kind of like a robot. So make sure when you're practicing to record yourself and become good at speaking with inflection in your voice. So your voice will go up and down and emphasize words that need to be emphasized. It is much easier to listen to you, and you will speak much more clearly. And all of that equals getting a better grade on the IELTS speaking test. And don't repeat the question. So let's use the same question again of, do you like sports? Your answer should not be, do I like sports? Yes, I do like sports. That should not be your answer at all. You're wasting time. You only have a certain amount of time to show off how you can speak. And the examiner will not look highly on this kind of speaking on your part. So if you do this as a habit, make sure you record yourself and see if you really do it. And then learn to paraphrase when you practice. So that if the examiner says, "Do you like sports?" Well, you can say something like, "I love all kinds of physical activities. I like to jog, work out, run, swim. These are some of my favorite things to do." Never in that answer did you even use the word sports. And so just with some good, concentrated practice, you can improve upon this. But again, record yourself and see if you do repeat the question. If you do, it's just a habit. You can change that habit quickly. And you should not go off topic when you're speaking. The examiner will give you a lot of range to talk about many different things. They're not really strict about topic as long as you stay within the topic. One of their criteria is fluency and coherence. And within fluency and coherence, they ask that you stay within the topic. But you have a lot of opportunity to speak about things that are just slightly related to the topic. But if the topic is, do you like sports, as we keep asking you this question, and you say, well, my hometown is beautiful, and it has fantastic beaches, and it's very, very popular with tourists. That obviously doesn't have anything to do with the topic of sports. And so they will stop you and ask you to go back to the topic. And then it becomes a bit of a problem because you're probably a lot more nervous and you have to get back on topic. So just stay within the topic. As you practice, record yourself. Make sure that you stay in the topic. You don't have to be really strict about it, but just stay within the topic and you'll do just fine. And one of the things you really don't want to do is answer a question with the words, "I don't know." The speaking test is intentionally set up so that you do know about each of these different topics. And so if you answer, "I don't know," you're not going to get a very good score on the speaking test. And as you practice speaking about all kinds of different things. Practice speaking about a television. Practice speaking about your kitchen. Practice speaking about anything that you see wherever you're practicing. And one of the things that you can do, if it's a question and you really don't know very much about it, you can give an answer that says something like, "Well, I don't know much about whatever that topic is, but I think that," and go on to explain what you do think, or give an example of something you think, or two examples of something that you think. And that's a much better way of addressing something where maybe you don't know very much about the topic, and that's just fine. But remember, it's a speaking test, so you have to speak. And don't speak too slowly, and don't speak too fast. Oftentimes when we get nervous and going into a speaking test with an examiner, it would be a time we might get nervous if we haven't prepared properly. When we're nervous, we speak very fast, and that's just not going to help your speaking score. At the same time, speaking too slow will also not help you very much. So the best thing you can do is practice with a purpose and record yourself. And you will become an expert at speaking at a good pace for you. Not too fast, not too slow, something that just sounds right for you, so that your communication skills are very good at whatever that pace is. And don't speak too quietly. Again, sometimes we get a little shy or a little nervous when we're speaking English. And this is not the time to be shy. If the examiner cannot hear you, they cannot give you a good score. Remember, this is a speaking test, and they need to understand you. So as we've said many times, record yourself all the time when you practice. Practice with a purpose. Pay attention to the level of your voice. If it's too quiet, then you just have to practice to be able to speak louder. Again, what you have to do is speak to the examiner with enthusiasm. And as you do that, I think you'll see that your level of your voice can increase, and so that it's not very quiet. Let's review our list of things that we should not do on the speaking test. And this is for part 1, but it's also for all the parts of the speaking test. So these are our don'ts. Do not memorize your answers. It's just a bad idea. Do not try to speak perfect English. This is when we get ourselves in trouble, and we're trying so hard to sound so great using these big words. It just does not work. Please don't do it. Don't give just an answer of yes or no. It's a speaking test. The examiner needs to assess your speaking ability. By giving a yes or a no answer, it will just not reflect well on your grade. Do not be monotone. Giving a monotone answer is not a good idea to get a high grade. Record yourself. You'll understand and you'll hear yourself speak. Add some enthusiasm, add some inflection. You'll be very happy about it. Do not repeat the questions. The examiner asks a question, don't repeat it back in your answer. It's just not a good idea. Don't go too far off topic. Again, the examiner gives you a lot of leeway what you can speak on. So just answer the question within the topic and you'll be great. Do not answer with, I don't know. Yes, you do know something about all of these. And if for some reason you don't know, then just answer with, well, I don't know very much about that. But what I do know is, and then give an example of something you do know. Don't speak too quickly. And don't speak too slowly. Both of those just are not good ideas. Record yourself and you'll find out whether you do speak too quickly or too slowly. And the last one is don't speak too softly. When we get nervous, we tend to get shy. When we get shy, our voice lowers a lot and we can't hear what some people say. And so don't do that. Speak with enthusiasm. You're only there for 15 minutes. So this is 15 minutes of your life to speak with enthusiasm. Be excited. And I guarantee you will not have a soft voice if that's what you do. All of these things, you can get great success with each of these, but they really depend on your practice. And you have to practice with a purpose. And so in your practicing with a purpose, make sure you have a timer and make sure you have a tape recorder. Both are just so important. And if you can practice and practice and practice all the things that you should do, make sure that you're not doing those things that you should not do. Do the do's, don't do the don'ts. The biggest tip of all is to practice with a purpose. So take each of these tips in mind as you go through this video. And look at this often as you're practicing with a purpose for your speaking test. The biggest things you can do is record your voice and use a timer. Then you can find out what you are doing right, and maybe what you're doing wrong, and try to improve on that. Nobody really likes to listen to themselves being tape recorded, but do it. It will make the biggest difference you could ever imagine. Follow this advice in this video and you'll do great. You'll get a great score on the speaking